The best ever!
Just gonna cut to the chase. The best ever Game Boy Advance game, without question, is Metroid Fusion. Now, even as my first Metroid game, what I loved about Metroid Fusion was just the whole premise for the story. It's like, in a previous game, which I later learned to be Metroid 2, Samus had completely eradicated all the Metroids. But in doing so, what she and the Galactic Federation didn't take into account was how that would affect the natural ecosystem, predator and prey, that kind of relationship. So, with no more Metroids, their natural prey, the X-Parasite, was free to take over the planet. And so, what's really interesting about the X-Parasites is once they infect a host, they take on its form. So naturally, Samus, in her full power suit, gets infected by the X-Parasite, and they actually have to save her life with a Metroid vaccine of some kind. But that does not stop the X-Parasite that hit her from basically taking on her form with all of her gear. I can't think of any other game at that age, much less a Game Boy Advance game, that actually scared me. Whenever the SA-X was hunting you down, like chasing after you, there's nothing you could do. You were screwed. You had no choice but to hide. And there were some like really intense parts where you have to like open up security locks that that are in your way while this super powerful thing is chasing after you. And golly, screw that thing, man. That was the most stressful part of that entire game. But that made the final fight with it so much more satisfying when you finally took it out and asserted your dominance, as it were. And since then, I've gone on to play other Metroid games, of course. I've picked up Super Metroid, and when I started playing that game, like, I appreciate that game and all, for sure, but it really made me admire just how good Metroid Fusion's controls were. Super Metroid, you gotta cycle to your missiles, and then your fire button becomes your missiles. Metroid Fusion, you just hold down R and then hit fire, and that's awesome. They did more with less, and that's one of the most impressive things about Metroid Fusion to me to this day.
In my opinion, the best ever Game Boy Advance game would absolutely have to be Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. What makes the tactics game so interesting is that there's no one right way to play it. And like most Final Fantasy games, the best part is building your own kind of perfect machine and just unleashing them on whatever enemy you're currently fighting, whether it be some mythical creature or just a bunch of evil dudes from the province next door. Unlike most Final Fantasy games, you're not set on the number of characters that can be a part of your clan. Your clan can be fairly expansive and consist of a bunch of different types of characters and different races that you'll meet along your journey. And then those specific races have different jobs that they can perform, and that's kind of how you start to build like this really elaborate party. And then the thing that really supplements that and takes the jobs to that next level is that all the gear you use in the game is how you learn the new skills for your jobs. So it does a great job of encouraging you to experiment and to use a lot of different weapons and armor as you progress through the story, because that's the only way you're really going to level your character. I think the thing that really is charming about Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is that it starts out like one of my favorite movies, The Neverending Story, where you're just kind of 4 kids in a small, snowy town, sleepy town. And the lead character, Marche, he gets picked on by these 3 bullies, because he's like the new kid, and they make fun of him and hit him with snowballs. And so you kind of like go to escape in this book, and you and your friends get kind of sucked into the Grimoire, which that's where the world of Ivalice exists. And so you're kind of in this fantasy land. Like the idea that there is a real world, there's a real place that exists, but these kids get to go on this amazing adventure in this fantasy land is I don't know, there's just something charming and fun about that, especially when you're a kid yourself. This is one of the games that when Nintendo's going through the library of games that they could bring to the Wii U, Tactics Advance, I begging you, Nintendo, please, 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 please consider not only adding this to the Virtual Console lineup, but remastering it in HD, because it's such a colorful game already. Totally recommend anybody that enjoys a Final Fantasy game, a hardcore strategy game, or just any kind of tactical adventure. This is a game you absolutely have to play.
In 2001, Rockstar released GTA 3. Face melting, changed the entire industry of open world games. The thing was, That was only at home. So later when they announced that Driver 2 was coming out for the Game Boy Advance, it was like, oh, it could be kind of like GTA 3 but not as good on the go. I could take it to school and play open world driving police chase action anytime I wanted to. I don't know what kind of voodoo bullshit they used to really like put that kind of open world experience on the GBA, but it worked really, really well. As good as that game was on Game Boy Advance, the biggest takeaway or lesson learned from the experience of playing that game is that you don't mess with me. Let me paint the picture for you. I'm in 8th grade. I love Driver 2. I keep it in my backpack, right? And I'm always playing it in the morning. And then one day, I go to unzip my backpack at lunchtime, and that thing is gone. Driver 2 is gone forever. All of my progress, all of my hard work, all of my fun is no longer in that little shitty zipper compartment on the inside of your backpack. So I do a little investigating. I go up to that kid, Michael Scott, who in 2nd grade had smeared his shit all over the walls in the boys' bathroom, and I say, hey Mike, you hear anything about a missing Game Boy Advance? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hey, I'm talking about Scotty Myers, the redhead over there. He's looking pretty fishy. Scotty Myers, this kid is shady. Redhead, dirty, definitely the incarnation of evil. Kind of like Austin Harper here at Screw Attack. And then Michael Scott says, hey, I did see him putting something in his backpack earlier. Oh shit, this is happening for real. I take out my lunch money. I got $2, 1, 2 individual dollar bills. I crumple them up into a ball. I go up to Scotty Myers and I say, hey Scotty, I've got $20 in my hand. I will give it all to you right now if you tell me where my Game Boy Advance is. I'm a pacifist. I don't want violence at all. I'd rather take the easier way out and use my mind to get the answers. Scotty says, follow me. So I go with Scotty Myers. I follow him into the boys' bathroom, and tucked behind the handicapped toilet is my beautiful blue Game Boy Advance with driver in the cartridge. He hands it to me. I take my $2 bills, grab his arm, smack it in his hand and say, take that, you little son of a bitch. He counts it. He knows that I fucked him real good, right in the ass. And with a solemn look of disappointment, he leaves the bathroom, and I got my Game Boy back with Driver 2.
This is why you love the game? Because of your victory?
Yeah.
Nothing about the game, no? Do you have anything about the actual game?
No, just playing an open world driving game on the go is really all that I remember. But yeah, tricking the shit out of little redhead Scotty Myers is the best victory I've ever had in gaming, so.
Thank you guys so much for watching the best ever. Now, we obviously didn't cover every great GBA game, so why don't you tell us your best ever in the comments below? And keep hanging out with us by clicking on one of those 2 videos on your screen right now. Chad's got some more of the insane story of Rocket Raccoon in our new show, Who Is? And while we wait for the Gar vs. Toph death battle, you can get a preview of their fight. And maybe even a tease for the episode after that. Like the videos, subscribe to our channel and all that jazz. Thanks for watching, and catch you later.